Johnny Blaze, aka the Ghost Rider, the sometimes hero, sometimes anti-hero who gave his soul over to Mephisto in order to save his father's life. Can't think of a way it could get any darker than that? Well, trust me when I say there are a ton of Ghost Riders out there with some equally dark stories to tell. What is going on, all you nerdy folk out there? My name is Jack, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the alternate versions of Ghost Rider out there that are somehow darker in terms of tone, character, or just methods. If you're still hankering for some dark alternate version content, don't worry, we have got you covered. Head on over to our dark alternate versions playlist, or just as easily, look at our other content under videos on our channel. Alright, let's start talking Ghost Riders. Number 10. Speed Demon. Coming at us from the Amalgam universe, a parallel universe that is composed of mashups of some of our favorite Marvel and DC characters that was unfortunately destroyed thanks to the cross-multiversal conflict, comes Blaze Allen, a combination of Barry Allen and Johnny Blaze. Once a stunt rider working at a carnival, Blaze Allen becomes the Speed Demon following the death of his wife at the hands of the evil Night Spectre. He was convinced by Merlin to bond with the demon known as Etrigan, and from there the entity known as Speed Demon was born. Granted the abilities of Ghost Rider, including his fiery powers as well as super strength, Speed Demon is not actually all that fast despite what his name would suggest. While the character is a formidable fighter and an all-around powerful being, he falls very short in the speed department, especially compared to any other speedster out there. There have been other characters who have taken up this mantle, including both Jake Garrick and Wallace West. However, all of their abilities seem to be similar to the originals. Check out Blaze Allen for yourself, starting with his first appearance in 1996's Speed Demon, number 1. Number 9. KUSHALA. Hailing from the main continuity Earth of 616 in the mid-1800s, KUSHALA was an Apache woman possessed by the spirit of vengeance known as the Demon Rider. To add a whole other layer of powers and depth to her character, she was also the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth at the time, making her ridiculously strong because not only was she capable of the demonic transformation and pyrokinesis that's normally associated with Ghost Rider, she could also fly and practice various types of magic, including Norse, Chaos, and Earth magic. Instead of the motorcycle or motorized vehicle that the modern Ghost Riders have, she possessed a phantom horse engulfed completely in fire. Before becoming the Spirit of Vengeance, her tribe was attacked by the US Army and her parents were unfortunately killed, so in an act of revenge she prayed for help, but instead of receiving any help from the Creator, she was instead possessed by the Spirit of Vengeance. While searching for a cure to rid her of this demon, KUSHALA was recruited by Merlin himself with the promise of exercising the Spirit of Vengeance if she helped him with something, which led to her involvement in the War of the Realm. Check her out for yourself in 2016's Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme. Number 8. Nema. This iteration of Ghost Rider, also known as the Wrath of Heavens, the Blood Drinker, or He Who Seeks Vengeance in our name, isn't modeled after the normal Spirit of Vengeance that we're used to. It's modeled after a wrathful deity of the Tibetan Buddhism, and its design and methods very much reflect that. The full abilities of Nema haven't really been revealed, but it can be assumed that he possesses all the powers given to every Spirit of Vengeance. However, he possesses a penance ability fashioned by his beliefs. Known as the Stare of 1,000 Buddhas, this specific penance stare is highly potent and enables him to punish those who have wronged the innocent by forcing them to feel the pain of their victims. Nema was able to attack and destroy 2 Chinese military posts, but before actually attacking them, he offered them the chance to escape before they would face his wrath. Unfortunately for Nema though, he was found by Daniel Ketch, a former Spirit of Vengeance, and his powers were absorbed by Zadkiel before Johnny Blaze was able to find and protect him. Check out Nema in 2008's Ghost Rider Volume 6, number 28. Number 7. SHOBA MIRZA. Needing the power of the Spirit of Vengeance more than anything, she sought out Danny Ketch because she heard that he was the greatest of all time, which was a little bit hard for her to believe at first because of his very drunken state. Little did she know that Daniel had the Ghost Rider entity exorcised from his body completely by his friend Mary LeBow, so he wasn't really going to be any help to her. Not long after Daniel witnessed SHOBA's transformation into Ghost Rider with a bit of a fun twist on it, as she rode what looks to be like a fiery elephant instead of a motorcycle, and she had 4 arms which allowed her to wield a spear, a bow, and a sword all at the same time. SHOBA was eventually taken prisoner by Verminous Rex and Zadkiel, and although Daniel searched for her night after night, he couldn't find her. Somehow, she's actually the one who found him. Wounded beyond repair, the entity inside her threatened to take control, and SHOBA begged Daniel to rescue her. He wasn't sure what to do, but like a parasite, Ketch just leached her powers into himself. SHOBA's human half had been saved, and she thanked Daniel even as she passed away in his arms. Give her story a read for yourself, starting with her first appearance in 2008's Ghost Rider Danny Ketch, number 1 all the way to number 4. Number 6. Ghost Rider 1 million BC. You could probably guess it from the name, but this iteration of Ghost Rider was around way before Johnny Blaze or any of the other hosts that we all know very well because they were active during 1 million BC. Very early on, he realized he was much smarter than the rest of his caveman pack, a fact that he ended up keeping to himself because he didn't want them to know that. One day, a Wendigo in disguise took over his tribe and eventually ate everyone except for the boy. Instead, Wendigo gave him the name Ghost and gave him the task of finding him again one day. Ghost set out on his quest but quickly realized he might be a little bit in over his head as the harsh environments were taking a toll on him. However, he was then approached by a snake who tempted him into saying his real name to achieve his goal, and from that point on he was bonded with a spirit of vengeance and rode a mammoth imbued with hellfire. 5 years later, Ghost finally tracked down the Wendigo to exact his revenge and engaged him in an intense fight that ended with the Wendigo pushing Ghost's mammoth off a cliff with him, though the Wendigo claimed that he would survive the fall. The writer was then approached by Odin and Lady Phoenix, who asked him to join the prehistoric Avengers, and together they defeated the Fallen and sealed it in an underground chamber in what would become the modern day country of South Africa. Check out Ghost for yourself, starting with 2017's Marvel Legacy, number 1. Number 5. Noble Kale. The first official Ghost Rider, Noble Kale was alive in the 18th century and grew up with an abusive pastor father that was eventually revealed to be a minion of the Dark Lord Mephisto. After secretly marrying and having a kid with a woman by the name of Magdalena, Pastor Kale's secret was found out by her and he accused her of witchcraft and had her burned at the stake. Just before she died though, she used a curse to summon demons called Furies with the sole purpose of avenging wronged women, and they started killing the townspeople. Fearing for his life, Pastor Kale struck a deal with Mephisto. He would be kept safe and Mephisto got Noble's soul. Mephisto realized that Noble was attached to a piece of the Medallion of Power, and he activated that piece to transform Noble into the original Spirit of Vengeance, and with that power he was able to take down the Furies. Pastor Kale for some reason then made an offering to the Ghost Rider in the form of Noble's son. However, Noble as Ghost Rider didn't want to accept that at all and killed himself instead. Mephisto later appeared to claim Noble's soul, and then his brother Archangel Uriel appeared and said that Noble's soul should be spared. Now, like most sibling arguments, an agreement was impossible, so they compromised and decided that his soul would remain in the void until it was rebonded with certain members of his family. Check the story out for yourself, starting with his first appearance all the way back in 1990's Ghost Rider, Volume 3, number 1. Number 4. Barbara KETCH. Finally, a Ghost Rider on our list today not from Earth 616. Hailing from Earth 11,993, Barbara KETCH was the sister of Daniel KETCH, who became the Ghost Rider of their world after her brother was killed. Now, it's not really stated, but it's assumed that she shares the same powers that her brother's 616 counterpart had, but for some reason never used her penance stare because she straight up just preferred killing. Surprisingly, she was able to suppress the Spirit of Vengeance's influence through sheer willpower alone, but she still went on a killing spree anyways, taking out her brother's killer and any other villains that she came across. It took the combined power of Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Johnny Blaze to stop her reign of terror, and they did so by separating her body from the demon. As soon as she was back to her normal self, she regretted her actions so much. However, she didn't get the chance to make up for her sins because she died shortly after. Check out her one-off appearance for yourself in 1993's What If, Volume 2, number 45. Number 3. Ghost Rider 2099. Kenshiro Zero Cochrane, hailing from Earth 928, is the next on our list today, and for good reason. Zero in the 2099 Marvel timeline is a cybernetic take on the Spirit of Vengeance as opposed to the supernatural being we might be used to. Originally, he was a hacker for the street gang known as Hotwire Martyrs, and one day they were attacked by the rival gang, the Artificial Kids, with a Z, and most of the martyrs were taken out. In a last-ditch effort to escape them, Zero did his best to screw them over by transferring the encrypted file to his girlfriend and then jacking directly into cyberspace in an attempt to burn out his headwear implants. He woke up in a very surreal cyberspace inhabited by incredible machinery known as the Ghostworks, and they enlisted Zero as an agent of change. Before hitting the streets, Zero used the robot's holographic capabilities to wreath his skull-like head in an artificial flame as an homage to his fallen comrades. That also served to make him look very similar to Ghost Riders of the previous century. Since he's not an actual Spirit of Vengeance, he doesn't have the powers you would normally associate with Ghost Riders. However, that doesn't mean he's not a formidable foe. While still driving the classic motorcycle, Zero used holographic camouflage, nanite regenerative abilities, eye-mounted lasers, and more to take down his enemies and get revenge for his fallen comrades. Check out this story for yourself, starting with 1994's Ghost Rider 2099, number 1. Number 2. Caleb. Okay, back to Earth 616 for now, folks. 2 years after the Civil War was over, a former captive named Caleb stumbled upon and took in a wounded soldier named Travis Parham and nursed him back to health. One day, Parham discovered a cave that held a collection of glowing skulls. Upon touching the skulls, Parham saw a vision of a hellish nether realm populated by a creature with a burning skull for a head. Caleb told Parham that the creature he saw came from his ancestors' country and could be called upon when something needed to be made right, an instrument of vengeance, if you will. After Parham left, Caleb and his family were sadly killed by George Reagan, and Parham swore to return years later to get revenge. What he didn't know was someone was already beating him to it. This Ghost Rider killed each of Reagan's men, and finally, Reagan himself, and the killers returned after having made a deal with a demon. In a final showdown between Reagan's band and the Ghost Rider, Parham discovered that the Rider was actually his former friend Caleb, powered by the Spirit of Vengeance that Travis had envisioned years ago. This Ghost Rider has all the powers you would normally associate with Ghost Rider, as well as 2 other powers. Possession, which allows him to possess and control corpses, and dimensional travel, which allows him to, travel to other dimensions at ease. Check him out for yourself in 2007's Ghost Rider Trail of Tears, number 1. And number 1, Ghost Panther. This Ghost Rider variant comes to us from the Warp World, and if you don't know what this is, let me give you a little taste. Put most simply, it is a pocket dimension of Earth 616 where history was rewritten and adapted around fused heroes such as Iron Man and Thor as Iron Hammer, Captain America and Doctor Strange as Soldier Supreme, and of course, Ghost Rider and Black Panther as Ghost Panther. The principal contest, T'Challa, was an arrogant boy who, because of his conflict with his father, was exiled from his home country. He traveled to America where you found Jericho Simpson, a fusion of Brother Voodoo and Crash Simpson, who ended up becoming his new father figure and even gave T'Challa a new name, Johnny Blaze, and he ended up becoming a pretty successful stunt performer. Fast forward 5 years, and during a stunt, he sensed his father T'Chaka dying and got very distracted, which resulted in his own death. He was then revived by Zarathos, half-sister of Bast, and offered him powers in exchange for eating the souls of sinners. At first he was reluctant, but when battling his father's killers, he accepted the offer and became Ghost Panther and battled Eric Killraven, a fusion of Eric Killmonger and Killraven, while riding a burning panther. Check him out for yourself in his first appearance in 2018's Infinity Wars number 3. That'll be it for this video, everyone. If we missed one or more of your favorite dark alternate versions of Ghost Rider, let us know in the comments below, and maybe we'll continue this list with a part 2. Now, if you haven't already, subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to stay up to date on all things nerdy, and while you're at it, why not ring that notification bell so you know whenever we upload a video. Now, as always, my name is Jack. Thank you all so much for watching, and make sure to stay nerdy, my friends.